Welcome everyone. This is patch 9.22 notes. I guess they're still going off of season 9, even though it's probably like technically preseason 10 coming up here soon, but whatever. Uh, just a little. I've only played 2 games on PBE. I really didn't love all the bugs, and for me, it's usually just not worth it. So I don't know a ton. I did watch some of that one tournament. I know Light was really strong. I think the meta is definitely not um, figured out, so to speak. But things I'd like to see gone: RNG elements like Phantom Hex Tech. Uh, Things that kind of just spoil the game, like dragons. In the current meta, you either have to have Giant Slayer or your own dragons to beat dragons. Just stupid. Because every unit, their spell is magic damage, except for like Vayne, Draven. That's like it, or it's true damage. So it's basically you have like Void, dragons, or Jinx and Brawlers. That's like the three. So I'd like to see overall more diversity, more like competitive compositions that are viable, right? Like I think set one. I read the dev blog and it actually made me really happy and very encouraged to see that Riot acknowledges a lot of things, and hopefully they're striving to fix that. Less RNG, more player expression, less bugs, more whatever. Anyways, let's stop rambling. Let's just hop into it. Highly recommend reading the dev blog if you're looking for set two. Um, Greetings, tacticians. The elements are here and they are rising. The all new elemental hex system, new champions, origins, classes, and abilities are shaking up the convergence. Is that what this is called? Whatever. The new set also brings a new ranked season to TFT. Study up and get ready to climb on patch 9.23. Yeah, so ranked doesn't release until next patch, which is good. I think dropping ranked immediately would be a mistake. There's bound to be unbalance and bugs, because, it's Riot, but whatever. Last but certainly not least, we've decreased the number of each champion in the... Really? Oh, good. Oh, thank the Lord. I like to hear this. Decrease the number of each champion in the pool, making forced team comps more difficult and opening more paths to victory. What does this mean, right? It's harder to just go Jinx Brawlers every single game because you can't hit it. So instead, you have to adapt to what you're given and make the best of it, which I think is excellent. You're still going to have scenarios where, like, okay, this guy got perfect items on perfect comp and gets first, but it means that unless you're just, like, hard forcing meta comps, you still have a path to top 4, which is a win, right? So that's good. Explore the new elemental hexes, champions, origins, and classes. Read this. Okay, I think this is the dev blog that I was talking about. Yep, so highlight, like, if you go on the patch notes, read this. Let's just read the summary real quick. We want to keep random effects in positive and controlled spaces. Basically what this means is, like, the random effects like Void, Rolling, or Imperial are good, whereas random effects like Hextech and Phantom are bad, right? Because you are risking it when you play Draven and Darius. You're saying, hey, I know it's 50-50. Whereas when you're playing against Hextech, it's like, I know that if this hits my unit, I die instantly. You can hold us accountable to higher standards of balance. So yes, this is good. Like to hear this. We're aiming for less frustrating and few overall disables. Good as well. Right? It felt like Glacial meta felt bad because it's like none of my units can move. Demon meta before it got reworked felt bad because it's like none of my units can use abilities. We're going to have more soft counters than hard counters. Great. Because wild hard countering Yordle felt terrible. dragon hard countering everything felt terrible. Rate of change was overall a bit high, so expect B patches to only be used to nerf strong outliers. This is also great, right? Every other patch, the meta isn't getting shooken up so much. This is good as long as the meta isn't like really boring. Like, imagine playing this meta for 1 month, which we kind of did, right? Because all they did last patch was like barely nerf Guardians and buff Cho'Gath randomly. So as long as it's not like there are only 2 compositions to play, and then they're like, well, we tweaked the numbers a little bit. I'm hopeful for this. Bugs are bad. We're going to take more time to make sure we deliver a game with less issues. Nice. I think some bugs are acceptable, but others are just like ridiculous. Like the overtime bug actually made the game so much less enjoyable to play. Like some visual bugs and not game breaking bugs are fine. But yeah, this is good to hear. We want getting 4th place or higher to always feel like a win, so we're changing it so you always earn LP for a top half pin. This isn't technically true. They already implemented this. You can still get 4th and gain 0, which is fine. It felt really bad, and it's happened to me where I get 4th and get like -4, -6. It's like, that sucks. So yeah, if you're really high ranked and or if you're playing with much lower opponents, sometimes getting 4th is +0, which is still fine. Like, at least you're not losing. So yeah, that's the summary. I highly recommend reading all this. I read through it several weeks ago, and it was very encouraging. I think the dev team has done a really good job overall. Riot Moore, really good team leader. I also think like watching his Q&A streams, definitely worth it. Okay, explore the new elemental hexes, blah blah blah. Let's read this. I haven't read this, I don't think. Okay, so this season champions represent elements rather than origins, but the rules are the same. Deploy multiple, blah blah blah. Okay, so yeah, all of the origins, like whatever, Yordle, Knight, Void, Guardian, like all Noble, Imperial. Wait, no, Knight and I don't know. I'm mixing them up, but so they've got Crystal. Crystal makes it so there's a limit to the amount of damage they can take from a single attack or ability. This is kind of cool because then you have soft counterplay to burst champs, right? Like, you can still kill this. It's not like a dragon where it's like, LOL, I hit you with 10k damage and you only took like 5. It's more like you can take a maximum of 200, which is still like a lot, right? Desert, deploying reduces the enemy team's armor. This is good. Like, this is basically Void, but less stupid. Like, true damage needs to be, they need to be really careful with true damage, because Void, like, ruined the game. But the reason Void was necessary is because dragons were in the game, and both, like, it sounds like they're avoiding that, which is great. Electric. Deploying multiple electric champions causes them to damage adjacent enemies whenever they crit or are critically struck. What? Okay. So like, do they just electrocute like a radius around them? I don't know. I know Zed is a 5-cost assassin that's like pretty busted. Glacial, same thing, right? I think it's literally identical. I mean, the units changed, right? Inferno, rather. Deploying multiple Inferno champs causes their abilities to temporarily ignite the ground beneath their targets, damaging enemies standing in the fire. Interesting. I wonder if this is percentage health damage, because if so, that's... I don't know. To be seen. Light. I've heard light is kind of broken. When a light unit dies, it heals other light champions for a percent of their max health and gives them attack speed for the remainder of the round. So the fact that the attack speed barrier is 5 now, this essentially is like better repeating crossbow, right? It's like you die, heal everyone, and they get attack speed, which means more damage and more spells, which is more damage. So I've heard light's pretty good. Steel. Deploying multiple steel causes them to briefly become immune to damage when they drop below 50%. This is cool-ish. I feel like you could probably abuse this. Like what is briefly? Is it 1 second? Is it 3 seconds? Like, imagine having a giga tank with warmogs. So they drop below 50, they're immune, they heal, they're immune, they heal, they're immune. Maybe there needs to be some type of cooldown on how often this can trigger. Or maybe it can only happen once. I don't know. I haven't played much. Mountain. Deploying multiple mountain grants a massive shield to a random ally. Okay, this is like good RNG, right? It's like opposite hex tech. It's like, oh, one of my units is way stronger as opposed to one of your units is way weaker. It kind of like sucks to face sometimes, but it's way less frustrating, right? It's like, oh, their frontliner gained 1,000 HP. That kind of sucks, but it's random. As opposed to like, my only unit with items now dies, and then cannon ult doesn't go off, and I lose 25 health because a 1 in 8 chance hit him for like Hextech or Phantom. Ocean. Deploying, they get mana. Cool. Poison causes their attacks and abilities to increase the mana cost of their target's abilities. This is maybe frustrating to play against. Like, how much? Is it like you got auto attacked once and now your mana cost goes up by 20? Because that's way too much. It depends on some of the numbers on these. But this is probably like a soft counter to like Mage, which Mage I think like gives you a chance to like double cast. I don't know. Wow, there's so much. This is gonna be a long one, guys. Shadow. They deal increased damage for the first few seconds of combat as well as for a few seconds when they score a takedown. Okay, so it can be like kind of snowball. Deploying more Shadow Champions causes all of them Oh, whoa. So if you have a lot, then all of them get like the steroid. Wind. Wind gives your whole team dodge chance, which is kind of weird. Like, I thought they didn't love Yordle buff, and now this is like saying not only is Yordle buff back, but your whole team gets it. It's again, it just depends, like, is this 10, 20, 30, 50, like 50%? I don't know. Woodland. Deploying multiple causes one of them to randomly create a clone, including items. This I'm curious about because it's like, does the clone deal damage? Does the clone have the exact same stats? Who knows? Classes. Alchemist. Alchemist can move through other units and never stop moving. I've heard that Sinch is like frustratingly broken because he's immune to CC and basically there's no counterplay. I hope they look into that. I know that thematically they want it to be like, don't chase Sinch, but it's like, balance is more important than like lore, right? It's like, I don't want to just like be playing a game and someone hits Sinch 2 and I'm like, okay, I lost. Like, right now, it's like if you face someone and they get Pantheon 2, you feel like there's actually no counterplay, right? Assassin. It's the same. Avatar. This is kind of cool. I have gotten Lux. So apparently there's like 10 Luxes, same roll chance as like a tier 5. But she doubles her elemental thing. And there's only like one of each Lux. So if someone gets like light Lux, no one else can get it. And once you buy one, the rest of the ones in your shop will become that one. So I think that's a cool idea. Berserker. Grants their attacks a chance to deploy damage in a cone behind the target. So basically just like built-in Titanic Hydra, which was terrible. I don't know. Blade Master. It's identical. Summoner. This is so good. Summoners no... Wait, I'm reading this wrong. Summoner pets benefit, but don't count as additional units towards activating. Oh, okay. Summoners also, their summon units don't do damage to the player anymore, which... So good. Like, playing against Elise early and taking, like, 6 damage from just an Elise is so frustrating. Druid. All druids regenerate health. I've heard druid is quite good early. Mage. Mages have a chance to double cast an ability. This could be really strong, especially since brand is like identical. Mystic. Multiple mystics grants all allies magic resist increasing with. So this is like dragon, but the whole team has it. It's kind of. The difference is like dragon said 75% reduction flat, right? With the game the way it is, armor and MR have diminishing returns, right? So like having 20 armor versus 40 armor doesn't mean you have double the amount of mitigation, right? It's like 20 armor is like 19%, and then 40 is like 30%, so it's not like you double it. So getting 75 MR is like way less impactful than getting 75% magic reduction. Declaw is still in the game though, so whatever. Predator. Causes their attacks and abilities to immediately kill low health enemies. I think this is worrisome to be seen, especially if any of them are assassins. Ranger, same thing. Warden, gives them armor, increasing with more wardens. Okay, this... nice. Holy, I don't want to read all this. Okay, we're just gonna look at the patch notes. I know some of the champions. How long is this? It's not that long. Okay, we can do this. I don't want this video to be like 100 years. Okay. We made a few systemic changes in preparations for Rise of the Elements. The board size will allow for additional options and decisions. Good. I think I like the row. People were asking me a while ago, like, what do you think? And I was like, it could be good, it could be bad. I think I like it. Many of the other changes account for the champion and synergies in the new set. So yeah, there's an extra row. It's just deeper, right? Player damage. It's going up, which I've heard is not bad because the pace of the game is slower, so having a really bad start doesn't feel as bad. Right now, if you have a really crappy opener, it feels like you're just at like 60 HP by Krugs. And it's impossible to avoid because you're forced to like roll down to get stronger and like screw yourself later, or play the best you have, losing every round to people that have better items or champions than you early, and then like take the health loss, build your econ, and try to recover later. But it just feels really bad. Like I had a game where I legitimately had a single tier and a Nico, and I remember being like 57 health at Krugs. And then Krugs gave me 2 items, one of which was a second tier. So I was just like, okay, I literally lose. I can't get top 4. So I somehow ended up getting 6th, but it was like the most depressing thing ever because it's just like I can't do anything. So player damage is going up, but pace is going down. So hopefully this is fine. Stage 2 player damage going down is good. It avoids like if you lose all 5 rounds because you have like a chain vest and a negatron. That's better. And then late game damage is good, so games don't stall out. Summon units don't deal player damage by themselves. Good. I already mentioned this. Thank the Lord. Level 8 champion drop chances per tier level. Okay, so this is like percentage that you roll. Okay, so this is like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. So they're making it so tier 5s are harder to get at level 8. 2% less, the 2% gets bumped to level tier 4s. That's fine. At the end of this set, they randomly buffed this, and it felt like just hit level 8 and roll for legendaries and win. Once you pick up a champion from the carousel, your little legend will no longer collide with your opponents. I know some people would do this. Once I hit Challenger, almost no one did it because it's so, like, scummy. Basically, you can just, like, push people. It's stupid, but whatever. Rank changes. Rank is off during patch 9.22. Yep, we already went over that with 2 weeks. Placing 4th or better will never deduct. Yep. Oh, and 5th or lower will never reward LP. Interesting, because this kind of... I wish this did happen. Because sometimes you're in a really high lobby and you get 5th and you can gain like 2 to 3 LP. But now you can just sometimes lose 0. So I guess they just nullified it. Because I got 5th earlier and got -0. We're slightly decreasing the number of Challenger and Grandmaster slots in many regions in order to make sure that... Okay. So Korea, Vietnam, and China are the same. EUS and North America are now... Whoa. So they're cutting off 100 and then 200. And then all other regions are 50 and 100. This makes sense because some ladders are like pathetic. You can get Challenger with like really low LP. I kind of like this because I have a feeling I'm still in the top 200 and it'll be like more impressive, blah, blah, blah. But it'll definitely make it more competitive and hopefully less people will smurf all the time. Like generally you'll see the top 2 people at the ladder just never play on their account and then they just rank up smurfs over and over again. With less slots, that'll be less. More people will be vying for the slots and there'll be less. It'll happen less, so. Champion pool changes. Wow, so 10 less on tier 1s. 4 less tier 2s. 2 less, 1 less. Okay. I think this just kills hyper roll strats mostly. I don't think this does much. These two aren't huge. This is the only massive change. It's just... Yeah, it makes it so you can't hyper roll as much. Or at least if you are going to, you have to like ensure that no one else is. Like a couple patches ago when Void Sins were meta, you'd see like 4 people go for it every game and 2 people would always hit it. 2 or 3. And it's like, that shouldn't happen. Mana generation. So 1-star champions now get 6. Instead of getting 6 to 10, they now always get 8. Interesting. This is interesting. I mean, 15% isn't like a ton when you're talking about like sub 100. Although, yeah, I don't think this changes much. It basically just means that tanks are less likely to get their ult off immediately. Because generally you'd put a unit in the front that you want to just absorb damage so they use their ability immediately. So now it's like maybe instead of doing it in 2 seconds, they do it in 3 seconds. I don't know. I don't know. Like, This means nothing because all the units change, right? Like if this was right now, I'd be like, holy crap, Aatrox gets mana even faster. But it's hard to know without knowing the champions. Nice. Recipe changes. Okay, so Curse Blade is gone. Good. Frustrating item. Negatron Cloak plus Recurve Bow is now Runon's. Okay. I read about this actually. So Runon's doesn't stack the same way anymore. Before, if you had triple Runons, you'd actually have 7 auto attacks from the same character. They changed it now, so it's just 1, 2, 3, which is good, right? If you happen to go triple Runons, like Ash or whatever, whoever the new Glacial Ranger is, that'd be so annoying. Spatula plus Rod is now Inferno Cinder. Okay, so this just what? Makes someone an Inferno? Spat plus Tier is now Mage's Cape. Okay, it makes someone a Mage. This makes someone a Warden. Spat plus Negatron is Talisman of Light, so this makes them light. And then Brawling Gloves makes Berserker's Axe. Okay, cool. Stat changes. All Spat items no longer give double stats. Why? I actually liked that. It felt like before Spats sucked until they did double stats, but yeah, I don't know, I guess it's whatever. Chain Vest is more armor. Death Cap 50 to 75. Wow. Dragon's Claw. Oh, nice. Okay, earlier I said, D-Claw is problematic because it still exists and 75% is way too much. 50% is fine. If you're looking at like Mystic or whatever, if it gives you 75 MR, you're probably going to be capping out at around this anyways. Because, yeah, like I said, whatchamacallits, defensive stats have diminishing returns. So the higher and higher you go, the less it actually accounts. Giant Slayer. Wait, what? Oh, good. So 5% max health, true damage. True to physical. That's all I care about. Like, true damage is just stupid. Putting it on Giant Slayer is just dumb. And I mean, the reason they introduced Giant Slayer is because Brawlers and Knights were problematic because low AD units couldn't pierce through them, but the tunage was way too high. 5% is just too much. So 8% current health physical. I assume this means current target health and not user health. If it's user health, it's weird. If it's target health, we're good. GA, 500 to 400 health. Okay. GA is so strong. I mean, I don't think it's less strong. Right? 100 health doesn't make it like a terrible item. Plus, one of the best excuse me. One of the best combos right now is GA Redemption. So that changes nothing there. Hand of Justice damage and life on hit has gone from 40 or 40 to 50 or 50. Okay. 50% damage increase is pretty good. 50 on hit is good too. This item probably just bumped up a tier, honestly. I mean, that's 25% buff. So I think this is probably like a B tier item, and now it's like an A tier item. Ionic Spark, true damage, okay. This is now like an S tier to A tier. Luden's Echo damage went down as well. This item sucked anyways. Luden Echoes now always goes off once per spell cast. Was it like sometimes going off 0 times? I don't know. Negatron also bumped up 5. Okay. To match that. Recurve Bow bumped down. Interesting. Runin's bonus damage bumps down as well, okay. Easier to get, so it shouldn't be as strong. Mage double cast. Oh, the double. That's why they. Okay, thank you. Chad is saying, if you double cast an ability, Ludens will go off twice. Oh. Maybe this item is good then in certain scenarios. Okay, we already went over this. Thieves' Gloves. Increased average value of items at level 8 and 9. Okay, I mean, yeah, most people would say that Thieves' Gloves were really good early and mid, and then late game it's kind of like, eh. I mean, it's still a gamble. This is like a good, I think, an example of good RNG as long as it's not too strong. Like, Release Gloves were way too strong. So, and they've been doing a good job of toying with the drops to make, or the rolls rather, to make the items like pretty balanced. Item system, uncommon orbs, average gold value reduced very slightly. Okay. So instead of getting like 3, you get 2. Gold orbs, average gold value reduced very slightly. Okay, whatever. Spatula drop rates reduced. Okay. Reduce the chance of getting combined items slightly. Okay. Dragons now drop 2 common orbs in addition to their carried item. I did notice that. And I mean, it's basically just giving like 4 gold. Just whatever. Elder Dragon and Rift Herald drop a common and an uncommon orb. In addition, so you could get an item from this then, or will. Interesting. So if the game goes late enough, you'll get a full item from Elder Drake, and then some. Sorry, I'm highlighting the wrong. The common orb will give you an item component, unless it's coded to just only give gold. Nah, who knows? Champions that contribute to a trait will have their portraits and tier information. I noticed this. This is really nice. So basically what this is saying is when you hover on the left side over, like, let's say you're like, okay, what does light do? It'll show what other champions are light, which is really cool. Because, like, learning this set will be hard. So you're like, okay, what does light do? And then you hover over it and it says, here are the 7 light champions. I mean, you still have to know what their picture is, but it's still quite helpful. Champions that are active on the battlefield will have their portraits highlighted. Oh, so yeah, if you have one of the, if like, let's say you have a light champion in, it'll show their portrait in that little drop down and say, you already have Vayne in, or whatever. Freljord, arena skins. I don't care about this. Bug fixin'. Red buff and Morello tooltips are now correct. Were they not? Fixed a bug where 3-star tier 3 units were doing 1 more player damage than intended. Okay. Nice. I didn't know much about like PBE patch. I'm excited. I think set 2 looks really promising. Again, I highly recommend reading the dev blog here. It's certainly worth the read. Gives you an idea of where they're at, and it talks a lot about some of the things that I know a lot of players are frustrated about. So definitely give it a read if you have 10 minutes. Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. I'm really excited for set 2. I didn't get my second account back to Challenger, but we did end like rank 150 something. I'm gonna be shooting for top 50 in set 2. I think it'll favor my play style. Even just hearing stuff like we want. We're decreasing the number of each champion in the pool, so it'll be much more difficult for multiple players to build similar teams. Like, you just can't force the same build every time. And I think playing adaptive is probably one of the things I'm better at. And so in patches where adaptation is not good, it's not good for me. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. I'm super excited for set 2. Hope you'll continue watching my content and maybe stop by the stream.